Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to give people time to get in so I can get my 5-minute scope in and get my story going in. So I'm waiting for some people to come in, so I hope you all can see me. Okay, we're getting a few people in. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, let me get my 5 minutes on here. I want to welcome everybody to my broadcast today. Thank you for tuning in. If you all were on Facebook Live, I appreciate you tuning in on Facebook Live for me as well earlier today. And thank you all for the hearts. And folks, if you don't get to see this live on Periscope, make sure you hit me back on the replay. And thanks for all the hearts and all the love on the replay and support in advance. So thank you for that. So let's just get right down to it. I was speaking earlier about some things that I went through during my graduation and things of that nature. But I'm going to sort of bring you back now a little bit. When I was a little girl, around about 9 or 10 years old, my mom remarried to her second husband. And so when she got married to this man, he was much older, much more settled. He was retired, and he really was... He was just a really kind, awesome man. And he knew how to take care of the home. He knew how to cook. He knew how to do all types of things. And he took very good care of me and my mother. And it was funny because during those years, I didn't have to deal with abuse from my mom. I didn't really start dealing with the abuse from my mom until she married her third husband. But just to talk about this particular issue, Mr. Bill was what his name was. Mr. Bill was the type of man that he had a lot of knowledge. He was wise, and he always talked to me, and he always was just doing some things that was just, he was just awesome. And taught me how to cook. He dressed me up. He helped me with my homework. He just did all types of things. So I'm going to read some things. I actually, being on this scope train and being in part of Scopers Unite, it makes you go back and sort of figure out things and where you came from and the things that you went through, so you can get on here and tell people your stories. And one of them is, I remember one day coming home from school. And I came home from school, Mr. Bill, I couldn't find him nowhere in the house. So when I went in the bathroom, he was in the bathroom on the floor, unconscious. So he didn't wake up, he wouldn't move. So I called my uncle. My uncle came down and got him, and we had to take him to the hospital. Little did I know that was going to be one of the last times that I ever see him, because he never came back to the house. He was taken to Stanley Memorial Hospital in North Carolina. A couple of days later, he was medevac to a hospital, one of the best cardiac hospitals in Charlotte, North Carolina. At that time, for 6 months, he was in this hospital. My mom worked 16-hour shifts back and forth, so every time she would get off, she would go straight to Charlotte to see this man every single day. The last day of me seeing Mr. Bill, the conversation was, he had me to come in, and he says, I want you to be a good girl. I want you to keep up your grades, and remember that you can always do whatever it is you want to do. And so I'm talking to him, not realizing, he's getting ready to die. And after he said those things to me, he said, I want you to behave, and I'm going to miss you, but you are one of the best stepdaughters a stepfather could ever have. He said, I will see you in heaven. He said, now go out and get your mom. So I'm not thinking, because I'm a little girl, I'm not thinking that that's his last time. I went out to the hallway, I got my mom. I said, Mr. Bill, I want to see you. 10 minutes later, I see all these doctors and nurses rush into the room, hollering code red. They go into the room. They come back out. They're running down the hallway now, closing all the doors off. Back in the day, they used to close the doors off when somebody died, so they would close the doors off to other patient rooms. I'm sitting in the hallway, and I'm watching this, not knowing that when he went in and talked to my mom and told her he loved her and took his last breath, that was it, and he was not coming back. Little did I know that my mom was going to go into a nervous breakdown. And at 10, I was going to be the little girl helping her sister out, trying to make funeral arrangements for my stepfather. Fast forward a few years further, my mother didn't realize that the woman she was, she didn't realize that she was strong enough to get out here and do what she needed to do, that she didn't have to have a man in her life until it was time to have one. But she was so diligently looking for one. So when she did find one, that's the day that my life went to hell. When she married her third husband, that's the day that my life went straight to hell. And I tell you, I had my daddy and Mr. Bill, who were truly my fathers, who were truly good men. And the third father had to come in, which I will never call him stepdad. I will always call him Mr. Charles. But what you learn from this and the things that you go through, you have to be able to pick yourself up. People say we're in cycles and we don't know how to break them. Well, I broke that cycle. I don't treat my children the way my mom treated me. I don't pull men into my life like my mom pulled that man into her life. That's something we have to always be strong and not be able to make those type of major mistakes, because those type of mistakes can change your whole life. Now, granted, Mr. Charles, he was a pedophile. But he didn't like my mother being the abuser. He didn't like her beating on me, cussing me out. He didn't like any of those things. But he was a pedophile. But this is what I learned from all of this madness that I was living in, was that it's going to make me stronger. I'm going to be able to stand up here and tell my story, tell my testimony, and hope that it helps some other young lady or young man to get out of the situation that they are in. You don't have to stay in this situation. You're going to have good people that come in your life, and they're going to be good to you, and you remember those moments. Like with Mr. Bill, I remember those moments. You're going to have crazy people that come into your life and tell you you are no good. To this day, my mother is 83 years old. She's still mean and honoring. But I have to say, she's still my mom. Okay? You know, I still have to love her, because this is why I say this. I had to forgive her. I had to forgive me, first of all, for being in the situation, even though I didn't put myself in this situation. Okay? I didn't ask to be adopted. I didn't put myself in this situation. But I had to forgive my biological mother and forgive her at the same time, so I can love her from a distance. Maybe one of these days she will open the door and say, I apologize for being such a cruel person to you. And maybe she won't. But I've made my peace. So folks, make your peace so you can flourish in your life. Embrace what's going on what's inside of you. Always embrace you. Always embrace your thoughts. Make them positive. Don't keep holding on to the little negative stuff that's going to make it hard for you. You don't got to do all that. You can move on and do something better with your life. I will never ever forget Mr. Bill, because he was a true man and he was a true father. But Mr. Charles, that's a different story. They didn't say I had to like him, but you still have to pray for people. He died at 90 years old. 90 years old. People, get your life together. Look at where I'm at. I'm shocked that I'm on here talking to you all and telling you all my personal business. I'm in the industry. We don't tell too much of our personal life. We only put out what we want y'all to see. So for me to come and tell you all this is actually healing me. So from now on, when you come on these scopes, talk about you. Don't talk about your business. You might be a person that can, I like to help people and I like to do this, but that's not what we're talking about now. We want to talk about what's going on with you and what you done been through. That's all. Okay, folks, I think it's my time. Karen is up next. And, this is draining. I love y'all. Talk to y'all next week. Peace.